Cowboy Logic, Season 2, Episode 12, Season Finale. You already know the way back to yourself. Hey everyone, I'm Ann Dunbar, and this is the season finale of Cowboy Logic Season 2. This season has been about truth, endurance, and listening inward, about the quiet wisdom that comes from living a real life with all its beauty and all its pain. Today's wisdom closes the circle. You already know the way back to yourself. Instinct doesn't disappear. It waits. Underneath all the noise and all the expectations and all the roles you play and the mask you wear, there's a voice that knows, that remembers, and that's been trying to get your attention. Cowboys know this. A horse always knows the way home, even in the dark, even in unfamiliar territory. There's an internal compass that doesn't fail, that doesn't get confused by the noise or the distance or the fear. You have that too. You've always had it. The question is whether you're brave enough to follow it. You've heard me talk about getting on that plane, about following that voice even when every part of me was terrified. That's been the pattern of my life. Every time I trusted that quiet knowing, every time I stopped listening to fear and started listening to truth, I found solid ground. When I started writing my first book, not knowing if anyone would ever read it, not knowing if I had any talent, something in me said, "You need to do this." So I did. One stolen evening at a time, one lunch break at a time, and after full days of work when every sensible part of me wanted to rest instead. And then, just a few years ago, something happened that tested that voice in a different way. I thought I had a publisher. I'd done everything right. I'd worked toward it. I'd believed in it. And then nothing. Silence. They ghosted me. No explanation, no closure, just gone. I won't pretend that didn't hurt. It did. It shook me. For a moment, it made me question everything, the writing, the stories, and the whole dream I'd been building one evening at a time. I almost gave up. I remember sitting there staring at my screen, that empty space where an answer should have been, realizing no one was coming to tell me what to do next. But that voice, that same quiet voice that said, "Get on the plane," that said, "Start writing," and that said, "Stay soft when everything in you wants to harden," it spoke again. Finish the book. Publish it yourself. Don't let someone else's silence become your ending. So I did. I published Bet's Christmas Gamble in 2025, and I'm so glad I didn't let that disappointment stop me, because that book is something special. The characters feel real, the villain feels real, and it's the kind of story that only gets written by someone who has lived enough to know what real darkness and real love actually feel like. And now, in 2026, I get on social media and I see readers talking about my books, laughing at something funny, and connecting over stories I wrote alone in the evenings after long days of work. That's not nothing. That's everything. Writing is where I find joy, real, true, unguarded joy. Not despite everything I've been through, because of it. Every loss, every hard season, and every day I kept going when I didn't want to. It's all in the pages of my books. That quiet voice knew. It always knows. You don't need permission to trust yourself. You don't need more information, more time, more certainty. Deep down in that place that doesn't lie, You already know. The question isn't whether you know the way, it's whether you're brave enough to follow it. Maybe following it means getting on a plane that terrifies you. Or maybe it means starting something when you have no idea if it'll work. Or maybe it means finishing a book after someone tried to make you feel like you weren't worth their time. Maybe it just means opening your laptop tonight when you're tired and writing one more sentence. That's enough. The voice doesn't ask for everything at once. It just asks for the next step. Take it. Because every time you listen, every single time you choose truth over fear, movement over paralysis, hope over bitterness, you find your way back to yourself. And that's where everything worth having begins. Here's the final Cowboy Logic of Season 2. You already know the way back to yourself. Trust your footing. Listen to that quiet voice, the one that said go, the one that said right, and the one that said don't you dare give up. Follow the path that feels true, even when it doesn't make sense to anyone else. Thank you for riding this trail with me, for listening, for showing up week after week, and for trusting me with your time and your heart. This season has been one of the most honest things I've ever made, and I made it because that voice told me to. I'm stepping away for a few weeks to rest and work on my next book. But before I go completely quiet, I'll be re-releasing our most listened to episode of Season 2. Keep an eye on your feed. And Season 3 of Cowboy Logic returns May 2nd, 2026. Same trail, new stories, and I'll see you there. Until then, trust your footing. You already know the way home.